No situational awareness. Sad. Sad. Oh, that was what a game, man. What a game. Amazing game. Yeah, to be there live. Unreal. I guess I'd never. Oh man, awesome, dude. I missed all this talk about these fines they're giving out. Yeah, for this one was, this one was 100,000. Next time it'll be 250. It's like, really? Yeah. Since when? And I feel like that's been going on for years, hasn't it? College kids rushing the field.
Right, yeah.
We got 2 Colorados and a Texas Hills.
I mean, how do you not rush the field after that?
Yeah, just that's at number one.
Number 1.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is 6 p.m., so we will call this meeting to order. Chris, could you give us our invocation, please, if you'll all stand.
Let's pray. Dear Father, we thank you for once again bringing us all together to work for the good of the city. Grant us wisdom as decisions are made. We ask for your protection over ourselves, our families, our residents, our state, and our nation, today and always. In your Son's name, Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Please be seated. Okay. Let the record reflect that we only have one council member not here, and that will be Council Member Strawn. I believe she's on her way to Bryan, or College Station, tonight.
Cliff, will you give me the sheet? Sorry.
That's okay. And next item up is public comments.
Just 1 second.
Uh,
He'll call you as you sign it.
It's fine.
Ms. Kellogg?
He has to go first. Okay. Go first.
Okay. Well, okay, Mr. Warren?
Yes, sir.
Please come up to the podium early.
Hi, my name's Clint Warren. I moved to 141 on Dove Trail, and I kind of have a little bit of issue with neighbor. In regards to getting the law called on me about my dogs barking through the middle of the day, whatnot. What I'm asking, and see if we can put it on the agenda for next month, is the City of Richwood's nuisance animal barks, whines, and howls excessively is kind of vague. I was going to ask if we can kind of look at it like Clute did and make it where it's, you know, if it's continuous for more than 10 minutes or a time frame in there or something in that nature. But I mean, she's calling the law on me 1 o'clock in the afternoon for something ridiculous. My wife had me a big old speech to try to say, but guess what? I got stuck up here by myself and trying to wing it, you know what I mean? So I just wanted to see if we can look at that or address that.
All right. Well, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Let the record show that Councilmember Strong has made it.
Sorry.
That's okay. Wasn't sure if you was or not, but
I know. I
it's
made
okay.
it. Yeah, glad you made it.
all right. Ms. Kellogg, or Mrs. Kellogg.
I just wanted to speak up for the Warren family. They moved in not very long ago, a couple months
In May.
in May. And I believe the police have been called only 3 times for things because it's kind of a a vengeful thing from one of our other neighbors in the neighborhood. They had different issues, but I want you to know that the Warrens are not a nuisance to me. I live right across the street from them. They're always polite. We all have dogs in the neighborhood. My dogs are in the house, in the backyard most of the time. But they bark when the doorbell rings, or even they think the doorbell rings. And they bark loud. Any of you that have dogs know that if there's a dog on the other side of the fence, they're going to bark at each other. And I think when Barbara Bailey called the last time, she was outside with her 3 dogs, and Darian Warren was outside with her dogs, and the dogs were barking at each other. And I believe that's when she called the police, right while they were standing there, which makes me very sad. We have a sweet neighborhood. I love where we live. And I just want to speak up for the Warrens. And, you know, I think we've talked to a couple of councilmen about what we might do to comply with the ordinances of the city and yet keep the harassment issue at bay, because it seems to me that's what it, kind of a vengeful thing. Barbara had to cut her tree back because it was over the easement line, and it's made her really mad. So it's unfortunate. I wish there was a complaint that we could do about neighbors not nice, but we don't have anything like that. So we just want to get along, and I just want to speak up for them, for the Warrens, that their dogs don't bother me. They have little bitty dogs, you know, and I don't think their dogs bark any more than my dogs. So I don't want anybody calling the police because my dogs bark. So that's what I'm here for, is just to tell you that they are not a nuisance to me. They've been very nice neighbors, friendly, and they enjoy living here, but it's not very enjoyable if the police keep visiting you for silly things. So I just want to let y'all know that. And I'll be here next month if you can figure out something to do to stop the harassment. Okay? And my grandchildren are visiting today. We're homeschooling at my house, so it's never a dull moment. And well, my daughter said they'll get extra quiz credit if they come tonight, so they're here for their quiz credit. But it's Mercy and Grace Fontenot. They actually live in Colorado because my husband's passed away recently. My daughter has temporarily moved in. And this is Tristan Royer. He lives in College Park. So I'm happy they've come, and they're being pretty good. So I think they're going to get their extra credit. So thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for coming.
We're going to stay a little while.
All right. All right, we have, next item on the agenda is the Employee Service Award for Lori Salazar, Court Clerk, 5 years of service, dedicated service.
I can speak about Lori. I'm her supervisor. She's been with the city since October of 2016, and she started as our permitting clerk. She helped Kenny tremendously. And then once I got my promotion, she was excited to take over as court clerk and has done really well getting her training and education, is really a good asset to the city. So she's not here. Of course, her daughters have softball, so that ball mom life is busy. So just want to recognize her and make it public that how much we appreciate her.
Well, please tell her we appreciate all the hard work that she does.
I will do.
Okay, consent agenda. Item number 7. Approval of minutes from called meeting of September 2021. Approval of fourth quarter investment report, fiscal year 2021. Approval of September 2021 budget report. Any comments?
Make a motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, a motion made by Councilmember Mike Johnson, seconded by Councilmember
One of us.
One of them.
yeah,
The whole front row.
Matt Yarborough. I hate it when my mind goes blank for a second. Councilmember Mike Johnson, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Councilmember Melissa Strawn, how do you vote, ma'am?
Aye.
Councilmember Matt Yarborough, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Councilmember Roy Escalante, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
And Councilmember Mark Brown, how do you vote, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Let the record reflect that the motion is carried. Okay, and we have a presentation.
That's not supposed to be there. Just
That's not
disregard
supposed to be
that.
there?
Yes.
Okay, it was
a short presentation.
it was a very
Sorry.
short presentation.
Cliff's ended up being on the action items instead of
Oh,
a
okay.
presentation. Sorry.
Okay, discussion and action items. Discuss and consider approving North Water Plant water well change order number 2 in the amount not to exceed $31,380. Clifton.
Council, this change order came about really based on the fact that when the well was originally designed, it was a preliminary design based on the existing wells we have within the city. But we truly don't know what we're dealing with until we get down to depth and what kind of soil we're drawing water through. The design change was suggested by a hydrogeologist in Strand to attempt to get the maximum yield out of this well that we can, which we are really needing as high a yield as we can. So we don't find ourselves turning around the day after it goes online and do it. So that's what this is about. So we brought Morgan from Strand Sully just to kind of walk y'all through it and explain to them what it is and any questions. Kirsten, I've got the
Yes.
cross section of the well.
Yes.
Showing that, Morgan walk through that.
Gotta get through consent. Here?
Yes.
Okay.
So you can see on the left side is the original well design that we at Strand created based on, as Cliff said, the other wells in the city and based on what we thought the water levels were going to be at. And then the one on the right is the one proposed by the groundwater hydrologist in order to get the 450 gallons per minute, which we're hoping to get in order to help the city maintain that water capacity. And so if you see, I kind of highlighted in the different colors so you can see better. But the blue is bid item number 6, which basically before it was to dig the pilot hole, which is basically the hole in its full diameter, and set a pressure casing, which is the like speckled section, and also the 18-inch diameter casing, which is that middle thick lines down. And from the well hydrologist, they recommended, instead of having the 2 separate casings, that we had to just have 12-inch casing and to gravel pack it at the bottom half, which is the bigger circles, and then pressure cement on the top portion, which is the small speckles again. And then if you look at the green portion, is the steel casing in the gravel pack, and we assumed in our design that it would only be 15 feet, but in reality, based on the sand samples and the clay samples that they actually dug up when they drilled their initial hole, that it ended up needed to be 30 or 60 feet instead. And then for the screen, which is the purple portion of the bottom, first in our design, we thought it was just going to be 25 feet, but in order to get that 450 gallons per minute, they needed 38 feet for that. And so we as Strand feel that, and with this new design, that we'll be able to obtain that desired capacity in the well and to construct it in a well manner. Are there any questions?
I had a question. How far does the initial geotechnical coring sample go?
Like how many feet in the ground?
Yeah, for pre-engineering.
So when we designed it, we didn't do that because we asked the contractor to be able to drill those holes because we wanted to save the city cost in initial design period. And so we just took our designs based on others in the city. But the first thing that the contractor did is they drilled that little, it's a 6-inch hole in the ground to the 340 feet, which we asked them to get. And that is how we found the different layers of where the sand and clays overlap.
How much would a sample like that cost on the geotechnical? I know from a construction residential side, it's about $1,500.
Yeah, so.
But I don't know how it is
For
for
a
a
commercial-
well commercial. I mean, this is talking a slab foundation versus,
Yeah,
a well.
it's several $1,000s more.
So I know we've had so many problems out in Oakwood Shores with the sub-base, the geotechnical, not knowing the ground. I'm just curious on why we wouldn't have invested that initial money up front to know what we're getting into before we commit a lot of money on a water project.
So in the initial design, when we were trying to figure out where to place the well, and we had very limited space already onto where we could put it, and we felt confident that even though we didn't know 100% what was gonna be in the ground, we felt confident that this location was a good location to place on.
We did have some data, or just from surrounding properties.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was limited, but we
Right.
did have some.
But if home foundation, it would only go down about 300 feet for sure.
No, this was more agricultural, a deeper, bigger well, much like what we're, within a quarter mile, we had a little bit of data.
Plus, we only have limited sites, right, that we could typically put this
Only
on.
one.
Yeah, we own this
Yeah,
one.
you own
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we really didn't have an option. They were gonna have to pull this core sample
Yeah.
eventually anyways. It's
I was
just before or after.
Trying to allude to getting it done beforehand so you know what you're getting into and not getting a change order after the fact. Knowing kind of.
It's discovery.
We'd still would have had it.
You still would have had it. I mean,
We'd
We'd have had it on
top
to
of
drill
the
the
sampling
pilot.
fees, right?
you have to drill a 6-inch pilot and see what you got.
I mean, at least they didn't start building it, the original design, and
Yeah.
we would have never gotten the pressures that we were looking for.
Right.
Now, was this the pilot done on the first tap or the second tap?
The second where it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Alright, just checking.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
So, I have one question.
Okay.
On the overall budget of this,
I've got it, Mike,
Yeah.
in the package.
okay,
Kirsten, if
You
you
want
look at the
up-
cost opinions, I have updated cost opinions for council.
I just want to see, this puts us
Sorry.
over, under,
Page 18, right? Should be 31,380.
That's a resolution, that's different. Let me,
Did I not give it to you?
Should be the slide
Second
prior to
to-
that one.
give me a second.
Right before it.
Is it in the packet?
Yes, 2 slides before that one.
Why is it blank on my screen? That's not it, is it?
No.
I think you.
I think it's the blank thing. Let me,
3.4.
so the original was 275, and now
I can
we're
open it
up to
separate.
18,630, am I reading that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know why mine won't open on my
We're
packet.
still,
I'm in
on
the
the
same thing,
overall
y'all.
project, 3.4 million, inclusive of engineering, we're still.
Right.
So to put us on the timeline, I saw that it was a 6-month difference between the original timeline and now it's January.
January.
2022.
Yes.
Yes.
That's weather.
Worst case scenario, or is that best case scenario?
It'll actually be before,
That's all I wanna know, cause I would much
That-
rather you
yeah.
tell me worst case scenario.
it's definitely worst case scenario, if there's no more severe hurricanes or anything running through, it will be finished.
Yeah.
Expected late November.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, council, any comments or?
I'll make a motion to approve the North Water Plant Well Change Order Number 2 in the amount not to exceed $31,380.
Second.
Who said? Okay. Have a motion by Councilmember Mike Johnson, seconded by Councilmember Mark Brown. Councilmember Mike Johnson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Melissa Strawn, how do you vote, ma'am?
Aye.
Councilmember Matt Yarborough, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Councilmember Roy Escalante, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Councilmember Mark Brown, how do you vote, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Let the record show that the motion carried. Okay. B, discuss and consider approving resolution number 2021-R-57, amending the fiscal year 2020-2021 budget to increase the general fund expenditures for debris management and removal after Hurricane Nicholas.
Mayor, Council, this is merely bookkeeping for the debris management, to put this over into the general fund on the FY 2021 budget. This is the items that we approved for debris cleanup.
Okay. Any questions?
I make a motion to approve resolution number 2021-R-57, amending the fiscal year 2020-2021 budget to increase the general fund expenditures for debris management and removal after Hurricane Nicholas.
Okay, we have a motion made by Councilmember Mark Brown. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second made by Councilmember Melissa Strawn. Councilmember Mike Johnson, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Councilmember Melissa Strawn, how do you vote, ma'am?
Aye.
Councilmember Matt Yarborough, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Councilmember Roy Escalante, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Councilmember Mark Brown, how do you vote, sir?
Yes.
Okay. All right, moving right along. Let the record reflect that motion carried. Item C, discuss and consider allowing Keep Richwood Beautiful to host low-contact events beginning in December.
So Kimberly's here, so she may be able to speak on it also. We held our KRB meeting last week, and needless to say, everybody's kind of bummed that we haven't had events in surrounding cities. Still are. We understand the reason why and the precautions why we're taking them. A request from one of the members was maybe an event similar to how Angleton did their National Night Out, maybe a parade through town with Santa on a fire truck for Christmas. Just something to show the community we're still here and we're still trying to bring events to them, but we're also cautious. I know we put the moratorium on events, so we just wanted to check in with council on how they feel now that the cases have come down quite a bit from when we did this. It also got brought up by another member that we usually do Shop with a Cop in December. It's a really good event that the residents really loved, the ones that needed it. But the current moratorium would also not allow us to do that. So I was just trying to get a feel in October so that we can start planning in November before the next meeting and it becomes too late, because we have avenues of funding for our Shop with a Cop event, but we have to start early.
Any discussion?
I think we should continue it, but as a city, we need to protect ourselves and liability. I know we talked when we had our 4th of July event, and we were just talking and discussing, man, I wish we had a sign that says, entering upon these premises, you assume all risk and liability. It's essentially a hold harmless agreement. That if you have Shop with a Cop, hey, that's great. If in the event something happens, it's not the city's fault. We have no liability. I mean, people want to continue living their lives, fully get it, but then us as a city have to protect our interest as well from illegality. So I'm all for it. If we have any kind of hold harmless or even just a simple sign that says, by entering here, you assume the risk, not the city. So, I mean, I feel that's a pretty fair statement. I see that on a lot of businesses I visit as well, and a lot of events that I go to. I think us as a city should probably look into that so we can continue on and living a normal life but still protect us.
To kind of piggyback on that, maybe the Shop with a Cop, is there some kind of application?
We can have them sign off on
a tiny
the application,
disclaimer at the
definitely.
bottom that just says, you know, if you're not comfortable with this, please don't.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there liability on the city if somebody was to contract COVID at an event that we were to hold?
Not by any laws that I know of. I mean,
Don't know where you contract it.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying.
But that still don't stop you from getting sued and spending a lot of money on it too.
Yeah, but they'd also have to spend a lot of money as well for something that they couldn't prove, so I don't know why anybody would do that.
Any lawyers that'll work pro bono do it.
Yeah.
So let me ask one question
Possibility
about
of winning.
a low contact event, because the barbecue basically we've got 3 officers contracted COVID, maybe there. They all contracted at the same time, right? So does a low contact event require police officers to be present, not counting a shop with a cop?
Well, I mean, it would require, the idea for the Santa Claus would require the fire department, to assist and be around each other, but they're all around each other already. They're not around the public. It would just be that community group together with the additional Santa Claus, I guess, for that specific event, which we haven't even worked out the details. We don't want to get into it without any approval.
Christmas in the park, in other words.
We're not going to do it. I mean, not like
Well,
that.
okay.
Not like 4th of July. Just literally
drive
go to the
through.
fire department,
Drive
put a
through.
Santa
Parade.
Claus, and just drive around the town.
Yeah.
Just have him wave to the public. That's what we mean by low contact, not anything at the park.
We have to make decisions for other people. I don't understand. It's like, if you
we
present the
pay-
venue, then they get to choose whether or not they participate. I mean, you're making a decision for them and saying, nope, you aren't gonna have it. Like,
I mean, we
that's
even
crazy to me.
did not
So
do our
why
Halloween
police department suffer
drive-through.
from it?
No, not from an event that we put on. You can't prove that at all. They
It's
could have,
just
they could have
coincidence that all
stopped, they
three
could
of
have
them got
stopped
at the same
somebody and
time.
arrested them and came in contact with somebody on the side of the road.
All 3 of them in our KRB director.
Yeah, all 3 of them in the KRV group, all 3 of them, just a
Correlation
coincidence,
does
Mark.
not equal causation. I can run the statistics for you.
It's,
No problem.
it's called due diligence.
It's called your.
Yeah, but you're not telling somebody they can't come. You're
No.
just saying, if you come,
Yeah.
here's a sign,
You
you're
are
not.
not saying you're not gonna have it
No,
at all.
we
We're
never,
saying no
we're-
events for anybody.
we're
You just stay
discussing,
in your house
we're
and don't
discussing
come
right now to
anybody.
bring them up, but putting some kind of protection with the city. It could be a simple sign, just like when you walk into city council right now, there's a sign on the wall that says, you can't come in here with a handgun. I didn't have to sign a form to say, I'm not bringing a handgun, there's a sign on there, and if I do, I'm in violation of the law. Just like if there's a sign that says, hey, enter at own risk, play here at your own risk. City's not at fault.
And that's assumed. I mean, it is
Nah,
assumed.
that's why we have a whole legal system behind it.
Yeah.
Because people sue.
And that's why we have legal advice too. We ask, hey, what kind of liability would we be under? No laws that he knows of,
Chief,
right?
shop with a cop, would that be volunteer basis or would that be overtime?
Yes.
I think the last time they all volunteered, no?
Also though, with the shop with the cop, because so I work with the Natalie Wolfie Toy Drive, and that's what helps also give money to that. We would also have like volunteers in place for like the paying, and so we wouldn't necessarily have to use anyone like that would be maybe on shift. Like we could take anyone who'd be volunteering their time and then.
I'm just worried about exposure, because at this point, we're still down an officer in the PD. Still, to this day. And that bothers me if we're gonna assign somebody to a shop with a cop with school-age children, and here we go again. So that's why I'm asking the question, is it a volunteer or voluntold type for shop with?
Yes, some of them volunteer because they love doing it, others I have to tell them they're gonna do it.
Is there not the recommended protections from the CDC of wash your hands, wear a face mask, maintain social distancing that can be done at that same point in time? I mean, we're sitting here saying we don't want our cops exposed. Okay, well, we don't want anybody exposed, right? We don't want anybody to have COVID and potentially die. So you follow the guidelines and maintain social distancing, wash your hands, wear a face mask, and we continue on.
So Chief, you mentioned some volunteer and some don't. What if we just, the ones that volunteer and want to do it, they participate, and then nobody's forced to participate? And if we only have 2 officers that participate in shop with the cop, then we only have 2 officers that participate. I am not in favor of putting anybody to tell, their job duty is going to be, go do this for extracurricular activity, if you will. I mean.
Can I ask another question? If, say the cases get high from now till December, which we have no idea because no one could have predicted this last one, is it possible, maybe you know this one too, to do a gift card and maybe the police officers can present a gift card to Walmart or something like that for them to use with their parents at their own time, and that kind of limits the exposure and they still get the present from y'all but not necessarily as much contact? I don't know if that's a possibility.
You can,
It takes away
So
from it,
the-
I get that, but
The problem,
just
the
a
thing,
way
and Brittany can attest to this, when we do the shop with a cop, we ask parents to step back because the child's not gonna get what they wanna get. The parents may not. I mean, we don't know how honest everybody
Right.
is. They may not use it for the child and what the child wants. If that came to it, I would much prefer you shop with a cop as other cities do for a scholarship, like Blue Santa. I'd rather it turn that way, or just hold on to the funds till the following year, but, it's just less of an impact on the children that way.
Yeah.
I get trying to do something to do something, but if it does rise, then I mean,
or maybe
we
a
have time
Salvation
to-
Army kind of thing where they give you a wish list and then you can buy one of the items off the wish list to
right.
give
So
to
we
them.
could turn it that way also. That's a good
Maybe
idea.
that would work. Just if it does get out of control again and we've already put out the applications and we've already put it out there and then we're kind of stuck
Yeah.
needing to do something but no one feels comfortable.
I know you mentioned out of control. Do we really have control? Right?
No.
It's a very loose idea. It's
Yeah.
always out of control, right? We can't control this. So it's just, what are we going to do? Are we going to continue to say, everybody stay home and don't do anything? I mean,
Yeah.
why are we taking that choice from people? Everybody gets to make their own choices.
My other request for guidance on council is, so I put this as a low contact event. What does council interpret as a low contact event? We did not do our drive-through Halloween, which is our Halloween in this city is, people come from all over for our Halloween. So it was really a bummer for us as a committee to not even do that as a drive-through. So does council see drive-through events as low contact?
I think drive-through events were
They were-
somewhat approved.
Right.
We did those
Yeah.
through the.
Yeah, we did those through the
Yeah.
pandemic.
Right, but when we did a moratorium on bringing people out, we were under the impression that nothing could be done to bring people out because we couldn't do the garage sale, which was not actually a city function. It was just a waiver of fees. So we did not move forward with Halloween.
The drive-throughs pretty much have been, CDC guidelines, wear the mask and things like that. That is low contact. I wouldn't see where that would be an issue at all.
Phil, what is your opinion? I mean, if we went with Rory and we had signs or, forms filled out, does that protect us if we just remove the moratorium we put on there and let the volunteers do what they wish to do? And if people show up, that means that, they wanted to, that's what the residents wanted. If they don't show up, then the volunteers will understand that people are still cautious and we need to wait it out longer.
Sure. I mean, I think my honest opinion is, I'm not necessarily sure. I mean, I haven't seen any cases involving people suing just because of COVID. Usually it's on, kind of what you was talking about, assumption of the risk, but that'd be more something that happens at a parade or something fell off or something hit something. That's what that kind of covers. And like I said, I haven't seen anything suing the city or suing somebody for a voluntary event. I can certainly do a little bit of digging just to double check to make sure that there isn't anything out there, but to my knowledge, as of right now, there has been no, I mean, if there has been a lawsuit, it hasn't gone anywhere.
Yeah, that's, I guess what I'll say, that's where I'm standing right now, is if what Roy's leading to, if that works, some type of hold harmless, the city isn't gonna be responsible, that way we can hold some events strictly on a volunteer basis, because I understand what Eric's saying, as a manager of a city, all other businesses are facing the same thing with shortage of manpower, and if it's 100% voluntary by everybody involved, including city staff, then I think we need to try to give back as much events as we can, especially going into the holidays.
Sure. And I think that, sure, maybe signs would ultimately help, but there's also an affirmative defense of assumption of the risk anyway, that you can already use.
Okay.
So,
But not
like I said, I can always do a little bit of digging just to just to make everybody feel a little more comfortable and that, hey, no, you're fine. If that's something that y'all be interested in from you doing, that's no problem at all.
That sounds pretty good
I'm
with
good
what you're
with
saying
signage.
now.
I think signage is fine. I mean, it's just, that way everybody says, hey, you read a sign, and just have it in,
What about our employees?
Yeah,
That's
that's what I'm
what
saying.
Well-
Then we're not gonna get it.
That was my
That's-
concern is, you know, employees. How
Yeah.
how are you gonna volunteer, whereas are they not gonna get paid if they're volunteering? I mean, how did, because you have to have
So they
officers
volunteer
to
and we still
work
pay
these
them?
things if they're larger events. I mean, how does that work?
Because if we want volunteers, then we just need to stick to the small drive-through, the things that only the committee members can handle. Because if it's going to require public works or police department, then they do get paid for city events, and then they are required to do it.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I would say.
Same for me. Anytime
Yeah.
there is a city
Decide
event,
what they can handle.
I'm not. I mean, I'm required to be there. I volunteer. I like doing it, but it's just it's expected of me. So I get that.
Well,
I
one
wouldn't want to
thing-
host
Is there
another
a
4th of July
reason why we
event
can't
right now. No.
leave it optional for you guys, and if you guys don't wanna volunteer your time to do it, then the event doesn't happen. I mean, right, if we say, hey, we'd like to have this event, we need you people to work it, are you willing to work it? And if they say no, then you just don't have the event. If they say yes, then okay, they're gonna
It's a
sign
lot
up
of
for it.
pressure put on people, though.
Yeah.
You know, that you're the reason that this event won't be held.
But these are
I'd be willing to bet there'd be a lot of community hands that would like to help.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, everybody don't wanna sit at the house. Why are we sitting here having a discussion over COVID? Really, it boomed last year, and it's still carrying on. But, I mean, you can't hold back every event with the what ifs.
Yeah.
Limited liability, completely understand. If you made a sign and put it up, kind of, would it cover you? Yes, but everybody's doing this at their own risk anyway.
I will say we do sign up Genius for most of our events and have no turnout. So we do try to get community involvement as much as we can on cleanups and different events we have, but that's always a request. We would love it.
See,
So
you
drive-
you say you got a couple folks that like the well, any of the events. We've learned from this last event, we definitely need to keep our exposure minimal, correct? Anytime we have officers on something like that. So, and what we could do for the for the ones that like, for the shop with a cop, that would like to volunteer, if it comes up on their working day, then have some of these guys that don't want to volunteer, let them work at their place. They'll get paid for being on duty, while the other guys are working the coverage, since they didn't want to help.
Yes,
You know what I'm getting
I'll
at.
just say this, you know, cops and firefighters are used to putting themselves
Yeah.
in harm's way for the community anyway, so it doesn't matter. Like, we've done Shop with a Cop, and we wore masks.
And we did it last Christmas.
Wiped
Right.
our hands down,
Uh-huh.
we took every precaution that we could take, and nothing negative happened.
Right.
In that event, right?
Uh-huh.
I think the secret here is, you know, like, All-American Night or National Night Out would probably want to stay away from big
Right.
scale events like that. But the smaller events, I say do it. I think it's absolutely imperative that the city, the police department, ARB interact with the citizens in a very positive way.
And I can most definitely add a waiver to the application. That's no big deal. And I think most officers that did help last year were volunteers, unless they just stopped by on duty.
Right. And I can reach out to the reserve force as well. And that's what we do.
Yeah. Or even open it up to the fire department if they want to volunteer to come help, and it's a thrill for the kids to get to do that.
Right.
They were excited to shop with me. I wasn't even in uniform.
Well,
I was pretty excited about that. It was fun.
one of the things, you know, I'm in agreement with what's been said here as far as shutting down activities. I don't necessarily want to shut them down, but also see where the city needs to do its due diligence in certain areas. And, you know, big, something like the National Night Out, then yeah, probably you definitely don't want to do that. But the drive-throughs, drive-bys, or drive-throughs, and shop with a cop. Just take your precautions, and in my mind, follow CDC guidelines on that stuff and have fun.
And I love the idea of a parade. That'd be really cute if that works. That'd be fun. I think the kids would really enjoy that.
On our fine roads that we
Yeah, Cliff, I'm gonna need you to get that done.
have. Yeah, that was great.
So another question I have is you say December, why don't we say immediately?
We don't have time to plan another.
But we could say immediately and then.
I mean, it could be immediately, but
Yeah.
I wanted council to think of December because that's our next thing. We don't
Yeah.
have a November event, and Halloween's, that has passed. We don't meet again until November, but,
Actually, if we can.
Unless you can-
Okay with holding a fall sweep.
oh, like a cleanup.
We do that in November.
Okay.
I would love to put that on.
So the cleanups, we can also have waivers for anybody that volunteers. They're pretty distanced in that anyways, when we choose a location. I don't even think when we are on top of each other all during those cleanups, so.
I didn't see anybody else.
So I'd like to make a motion to allow Keep Richwood Beautiful to host low contact events beginning immediately.
Sounds good.
I have a motion made by Councilmember Mike Johnson, seconded by Councilmember Matt Yarborough.
No.
No? You didn't second that?
No, I
Okay.
have
Okay, I thought I
a
heard you
little
say
bit of
second.
discussion.
Yeah.
I think we should define what low contact is by like personnel.
I say we take it off.
I mean, I would just, it's pretty vague. Like,
Yeah.
what would you consider low contact? Is it?
That's what we just were discussing, right? Because she was like, what do y'all mean by low contact? And
Okay.
then we
So the way this
had a
would work is,
Discussion about it.
Mike
If
made
we
the
don't
motion.
clearly define it, then I agree with you. Let's take it off.
Yeah.
And just say, you know,
Volunteer based.
volunteer based,
On a case-by-case
case
basis.
by case basis. I mean, I'm good with that because.
So amend my motion to say, allow Keep Richwood Beautiful to host events immediately.
that's your motion. It's,
On a volunteer
Yeah,
base
I
or
think
something
that's
like that.
fine, right? And
I
then
mean,
with the
Yeah.
understanding that, you know, nobody's going to be required, is that fair or?
on a volunteer basis.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion made by, amended motion made by Councilmember Mike Johnson, a second by Councilmember Mark Brown. Councilmember Johnson, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Councilmember Melissa Strawn, how do you vote, ma'am?
Aye.
Councilmember Matt Yarborough, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Councilmember Roy Escalante, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Councilmember Mark Brown, how do you vote, sir?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Discuss and consider approval of change order in the amount of $25,990.80 to repair roughly 310 linear feet of western portion of Cypress Street.
So council, this was we had an impression last time we were here. I gave council the change order amount. There was an understanding that Matula had made a mistake, and there was something should be said for that. I did take it back to Mike Murphy, Vice President of Matula, asked him if he would like to try again or proceed with just repair for whatever they ground up. And he talked to owner John Matula, and they came up with about $4,000 less to do that 310 feet of both lanes of Cypress.
sorry, my
And I wanted
Adobe
to
went
see
crazy.
if, based on the comments made previously, the condition of the street, that portion of the street was failed. It's unfortunate how we got here, but it needs it nonetheless. I'm not happy that we're here this way, but I'm here and I'm trying to get something done about it since we're in this predicament. And if we can, this is for what it's worth, I think it's a pretty good deal.
So I have a question. They've already graded off how much of that?
Well, it was 85 feet of a partial lane on the north lane.
So they had to already grade that off and haul that off, right?
No, it's still in place. The material's still in place and packed in, so it remains drivable.
Okay. So they haven't hauled anything.
They haven't hauled anything.
Grinding it up.
Right. So, and really what this is gonna entail, it's not just grinding and stabilizing. I believe there is, oh, I'm sorry, it is a reclamation. I'm sorry. But it's of the 310 feet. So I talked to some of the residents on this road, and even 25,000, everybody knew. I was like, I understood they messed up. I get it, but we're asking them also to do 310 feet of the street. You know, it's, I get it, they messed up. And they gave a fairly conservative price to begin with, and even one more so now. And we're just trying to get to where we can fix the problem. And if we can't, the problem will remain unfixed. And
I thought at the
Not
last
unfixed,
meeting-
right?
I thought
Well-
the last meeting, they said that they were gonna fix the part that they broke.
But the 310 feet of street is failed.
Right.
So it's gonna continue to get worse, the bottom's
So-
falling out.
Before we send out any of these bids to any contractor, they have to provide a level of insurance, correct?
Yes.
So have they looked in if they can't afford to repair a road that they damaged by not knowing the streets that they were given to repair, and they milled up the wrong street, and if they can't afford $29,000 to fix it, they need to look at their insurance and say, hey, we just had a boo-boo, we need you to cover this cost insurance. I know at my civilian job, when it's I have a driver that has an accident, whether it be anywhere, I don't ask the customer to pay for it. All right, if it's over a certain threshold, then time to turn in the insurance.
Well, we have to understand, it's not a $29,000 mistake. $29,000 was the original.
What is an 85-foot mistake? What does that look like? So if you take the 310 and you divide that by 2.5.
Which is
right?
probably the new quote we
So
got,
that's over
$5,000.
$10,000, is that $9,000? Yeah. Just quick math.
Divided by 30.
So it's a $9,000 mistake.
I would assume, yes, I don't know.
You know.
I mean,
Yeah, this wasn't saying they couldn't afford, this was just them coming back to us trying to say, okay, we'll give you a really good deal to do 310 feet.
This was
But
my
if-
idea.
Right, but if we say no to this again, they're still fixing 85 feet
Absolutely.
On the one, yes, on the one
We got
lane.
one lane,
Yes, they're gonna-
Yes.
they're
to
gonna-
the way it was when they messed it up.
right,
Understanding the rest of the street is still in failure mode like several other streets.
right.
Basically, this is a couple $1,000s less than the original quote, and now it's both sides of the road. So we're getting,
Original's 20.
is that correct?
That's, yes, correct.
We're getting an additional 7 feet or 8 feet of asphalt on both sides for the entire amount.
Minus what?
Yeah.
And then another concern that I had is the way that it's laid out here, it's 300 by 23 and not 310. And so we're gonna see a 10-foot change later on that we're gonna be charged for, is that?
And that 310 feet mark, that roughly 310 feet is between discussion for me and Mike Murphy. If he has an exact measurement, he had a defined line to where he was to go to. And that's where.
Yeah, I just see our quote here is for 300, so.
Right.
If it's more than that, then this number's going to change, right?
No, this is the number. And this gets us to the point. Like I said, I think it's just discrepancy between numbers.
I guess for me, whenever I read a contract, it's very specific, and I want it to be very specific so that I can say, hey, this is how I'm going to enforce it. If I go out here and it's 280 feet and I paid for 300, well, where's the other 20, right? Because we're spending taxpayers' money here. It shouldn't just be, well, it's open to interpretation. It's 300, but it could be more or less 5 or 15 feet. Why can't we be exact and say from here to here it's 307 feet, and this is how much we're paying for it?
Well, honestly, I would have to say it's my mistake.
I mean, I understand, handshake deals, and trusting people, but the contract has to be specific, right? So that you know this is what I'm getting. It can't be enforceable if you just say, well, just somewhere in this general vicinity, I want you to finish it up, right?
Can we bring it back with the exact measurement?
No, I'm gonna have it fixed. But, I mean, the people that are driving in mud, it is pushing some mud, so we're making repairs now. So I'm gonna just have them fix the 85 feet.
Is there a reason why it's done in such a way that there's like 4 stop-start points on it? Because it comes into 2 other streets and that same intersection has got 2. So I know we were all told we want to cut back on stop-start points because the road deteriorates whenever you come onto that road and off of that road. And the way that it's set up, the map that was on, there was, I think, 4 stop-start points on
So
it.
the driveways?
Yeah, well, no, look at the map.
Those are driveways?
This one,
That's
Melissa?
a road, yeah. Yeah, if you pull it up on the thing, I was gonna say, those are roads, right?
I thought these are driveways, right?
Those are
That, okay, that
This
one
is
right
the only
there,
road.
Sorry,
Yeah.
3.
Yeah, that one,
Just 3.
This is
the
the road.
blue is the
Yeah.
310 feet in it.
Sorry, I
What?
thought that other one was a road.
Because it's what I can do, and it's all I can do. That's why I'm there. If I had more money, I'd do it all.
Yeah, well, I just propose how much it would be to do the whole road later, whenever it's, you know,
You're
whenever
saying
it's
all the
time
way
to do
back.
that
Well, I mean, because
road.
this is a driveway here, and then so it's
When it's
just
time to do that
the
road.
intersection and then where they end.
Are you saying all the way back to 288, Melissa?
No,
Wait
I'm
until you
just
can do
saying-
it all the way down? Because this is
Yeah.
a driveway, this is the road.
Yeah, I'm just saying, why don't, if you know that's gonna fail anyway, if you do it knowing it's gonna fail because stop-start points fail, is it wasting $25,000 on something you know isn't gonna last very long?
What I know about the money we have, what I know about the money we need to spend, I don't think it's a waste. I don't know when I'm gonna get back to the street.
Plus, this road is, this road was built a lot differently than the ones out there, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, it's different in a lot of ways, yeah.
Yeah, on the, plus the base under it's a lot different.
So the choice we got is do the repair for nothing, which is how many feet?
85.
85 feet of one side, or do the whole thing
25.
For 4,000 less.
for 25,900.
The original was 29, wasn't it?
Yeah, and this repairs a linear footage of the street that's considered to be fair.
And to Melissa's point, how long do you think we'd have before we'd have to redo the road that, if we did the 310 feet or 300 feet, whatever it is, how long do you think that would last?
5 to 10 years.
And how long do you think this, between 288 and the repair point is gonna last?
Longer than that.
Didn't we have, when we were doing the road bonds, there was a whole presentation with all of the streets in Richwood by failure rate, like reds were like the, Blue Marlin was like just solid red. The one right in front of the Fat Boys was solid red. I'm curious to see what this road was at. Was it a blue? Was it saying it was structurally good for a good while? I mean, I could dig through my emails and pull it up, but I'm just kind of curious to see what, at that time, when we did an in-depth road analysis and structural integrity of all the roads in the city, to give a rating. You know, granted, yes, there's been depreciation and stuff has deteriorated since then, but at that time, I think it gave us a true snapshot of the condition of this road. And because I could see what's going to happen is we're going to approve $29,000, $25,000, whatever, $3,800 discount they're going to give us for their mistake. And then there's other roads in the city that are in way worse condition.
Sure. Yeah.
That are going to be like, well, how about mine? Like, we're still driving through mud. We're still driving through. Look at the road going into Fat Boys. That's a very heavily commuted road that brings revenue into the city. That place is, you're going to bottom out every time you drive in there.
Well, they just finished it.
They're working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's why I bring it to you guys. To make that.
So I'm curious to see, I saw you had the road bond.
I'm trying, yeah.
But the thing too about the road bond is that's pre-Harvey.
Yeah.
So I think, Harvey did a lot to roads that,
Yeah,
you know,
it's
I mean,
not.
just being honest, that
Oh, no,
was
I
pre-Harvey.
agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's not,
To the whole city.
I would consider it all, representative to a lot of what has failed, most of what hasn't been labeled good, has remained good, but, you know.
So is there a plan for the other roads that were on the bond? Are those in progress, the ones that were lower than this one? Just so that if we approve this, we can say, okay, well, we're approving this one, but there is definitely money left over to finish the other ones that were marked as a 2 or a 3 before? Or is this gonna take away from being able to repair the ones that have been at a 2 since 2018?
We don't have data until we get the last invoice in from this phase of road repair.
So the ones driving on gravel since 2018, this one will come before theirs?
This section would come before that road, restabilization of it.
So if we wait,
oh,
I'm sorry, but if we wait, what's the cost of this amount retail if we don't do it with this deal? I guess that's the, you don't know? No, I mean, like, what would it actually cost? 'Cause this is a discount to
I mean,
begin
the
with.
thing is
You'll have to tell me what road it is.
we're not asking to repair the road.
I think it's blue.
It got tore up and we're asking to fix it right instead of patch it. I think that's the difference.
All right.
I understand. It would be
Can you
more than
scroll down
$1,000.
a little bit and to your left? Yeah.
I see
Left?
it as you're humming along, you're saving money, you're doing good with
Isn't it
your
up here?
budget and your household, and you run across something that's a heck of a deal,
It's off its
the
way.
deal of a lifetime.
Yeah.
But you just gotta pass it up. I mean, it's
Yeah,
$29,000, but we
Hard
weren't
to
planning
say
on touching this
what
road.
roads he's only got
We have other roads in line.
Well,
It is a
I
heck
think
of a
it's
deal
blue.
on footage and what we're gonna get for a contractor to come 5-10 years from now when it's time to do it. It's gonna be a lot more, but
That's why I bring it to you guys.
yeah, I
Make
can't,
that decision.
I can't vote yes for this, especially with the other 28-30,000 we got hanging for people's driveways
Sure.
and
I
so.
understand. Thank you.
But we appreciate what you do, and we know you're just trying to find a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just,
No, wait a minute, I think we should vote on it. And I'd like to make a motion to approve the change order for the amount of $25,990.80 to repair the roughly 310 linear feet of western portion of Cypress Street.
Okay, we have a motion made by Councilmember Mike Johnson. Do we have a second? Second call, we have a motion made by Councilmember Mike Johnson. Do we have a second? Third and last call, do we have a motion? We have a motion made by Councilmember Mike Johnson. Do we have a second? Okay, motion dies due to the lack of a second. Thanks, Cliff. Okay, let's get back to the agenda. Okay. Discussion regarding standing water on Oyster Creek Drive.
Okay, council, this is just, it's just for informational purposes only, there's no action here. After last council meeting, when we talked about the standing water on Oyster Creek Drive and residents' concerns as such, I discussed with Strand Associates and had them come down and look at the site firsthand. And essentially talked about a potential repair for such an issue. Oyster Creek Drive is a street that does not have any confined drainage or subterranean infrastructure. It doesn't go into drain boxes. It funnels itself down to one of a couple different outfalls that are going to be at the corner of Magnolia and South Yale Pond, or South Yale Pond and North Yale Pond. And I imagine a small percentage of it makes it up to 2004 on Oyster Creek Drive. So they essentially proposed, or we came up with a couple ideas to deal with one problem, which is the larger amount of standing water at South Yale Pond and Oyster Creek Drive. That can be remedied with infrastructure installed underground, such as a drain box running to the east ditch, but that is through the existing creek bend subdivision now. And easements would have to be done, stuff like that. It wouldn't be too complicated, but it seems that that it's conducive for that to work. We should have enough drop to get it to that ditch. But the standing water in front of driveways is not really anything that we can repair unless you displace it. And if you displace it, you start laying more asphalt, you start doing all those things that kind of perpetuate this issue. And really the best fix of that is to redo the entire street from Moore to FM 2004. That way they could correct for grades all the way down to 2004, taking in the drain basins on South and North Yopon and South Yopon and Magnolia. Totals, engineering and everything, just short of $1 million to do them both. To do one without the other is a little bit, like I say, silly. It's just, you gotta understand that portion of South Yopon, before Creek Bend was developed, was actually graded to flow towards Oyster Creek Drive. It wasn't graded to flow into the woods that used to be there. So it's naturally higher by nature. You'd have to get over that hump anyway. So essentially both projects I think would be necessary to effectively correct the issue. And I just want to make mention to council here, this isn't the last time we've heard about it. It's going to come back, not just because of standing water, but because of the street. The street is, I don't know how old, but it's in excess of 30 years old. We've repaired it once. And I'm not sure if there's a repair we can make to it again without it. But this is kind of where we stand with this issue, and obviously something like this would probably be a bond, be additional bond. So I just want to give it to council and have any discussion you guys like to have.
How are the conditions of you said it's a natural slope drainage, correct? How are the conditions of those outfall ditches and drainage? Are they maintained, are they clogged, or?
They're not in the greatest condition now, but a lot of that is due to the lack of fall that we have, but of course they're being rehabilitated, with the drainage project. So where we're talking about directing this water to, both the main outfalls are going to be improved.
But the current slope of where it goes, because there's no subterranean drainage boxes, the current slope going to an outfall ditch, that condition, I'm just curious to see if that's, if they're clogged, if culverts are obstructed or overgrown, do they need to be dug out? Would that help out to recut and dig the?
Well, they don't have ditches on that street, right?
Yeah, not with this particular problem, or not with this particular problem, no, sir. Now the overall drainage, yes, I think when we improve those ditches, it's going to help a lot. But with this specific problem, no, we would have to make corrections. I don't think the ditch has nothing to do with it at this time. That I can see.
Will that help the problem